Yeah, I sometimes wonder, what would I...
30 seconds in. 30 seconds in before he starts rapping. I love how he just lets the music set the tone. Just put you in the mind frame before the percussion kicks in, before he comes in. And for me, what's really dope too is I always talk about taking vocal cuts and caking them into the instrumentation so they're like a natural part of the beat itself. And that's what you get here. I can't hear any specific words that are being said, but the way that it's frequenced and pushed down into the mix. But for me, there's this beautiful harmony with it, but there's also this kind of just angst, this edge to it underneath. Even the piano, right? That piano is running very reflective, very beautiful. But at the same time, the final keys of the piano, those final notes that get held out, they bend. And then they just have almost like this disharmony to it. And for me, the way that you achieve that is you take a sound, like you take an instrument, and then you play it in reverse. And I'm pretty sure they took those piano keys, they're played forward all the way through. And then on those final notes that get held out, they get flipped into reverse. And that just creates just that little moment, that little edge to it all.
Yeah, I sometimes wonder, what would I do in the next generation? In 1940, if I was enlisted to fight for the nation. In 1960, if I had to fight for the rights of my people and lay down my life on the line so my grandkids could live a life that's peaceful. Would I be on that? Would I be front line? That's what I'm thinking. If I was alive in the 1912 and the Titanic and it was sinking, who am I saving? Am I fighting women and children, or am I waiting? I wonder, what would I do in the next generation? Battle of Kabbalah, if they captured me for the sake of my father. Would I stand on my honor like Hussein did and then tell them to make me a martyr? Would I get smarter, forgive my oppressor, stick to the creed? If I got locked inside like Nelson Mandela but never was freed, I see a white man dance to rumba, ain't studied Patrice Lumumba, but get on the stage and sing like Sumba, like Jaja Jaja Sumba. Fuck it, I wonder, what would I do in the next generation? Would I fight for justice? Is it the reason my mum named me David? How can you be king? How can you be king? Don't speak for the people.
There's so much. I'm so torn between letting it play and just wanting to break down. I think we can't let this get out of hand. Right here on the religious references, David, King David, in the Bible. But for me, he's taking you through history right now. He took you through World War II. He took you through the civil rights movement. He took you through the African movements as well. Because the 60s couldn't just be civil rights. He could also be talking about, that's when a lot of African nations were given their independence, broke free from colonialism. Then he talks about Nelson Mandela. Then he talks about Patrice Lumumba. There's some lines here that are really already diving into the depth and making you think. All right, let's break some of this down, man. Dave, woo! Dave is all one. Man.
Yeah, I sometimes wonder, what would I do in the next generation? In 1940, if I was enlisted to fight for the nation.
Right, talking about 1940, World War II, right? Hitler, Germany, fighting for Great Britain, Battle of Britain. So many key moments in that war.
In 1960, if I had to fight for the rights of my people and lay down my life on the line so my grandkids could live a life that's peaceful, would I...
That for me, you start thinking the 60s movements because they kind of coincided between UK civil rights movements and USA, Martin Luther King, I Had a Dream and all of that, Rosa Parks. But for me, I think there's another layer because then he gets into Patrice Lumumba. So for me, there's the African tie-ins as well. And we know Dave always talks about his Nigerian heritage, ties in with that, is very important to him.
Be on that, would I be front line? That's what I'm thinking. If I was alive in the 1912 and the Titanic and it was sinking, who am I saving? Am I fighting women and children, or am I waiting? I wonder.
This is a man reflecting on these key moments in history, on different tragedies as well as different social justice movements. And would I be there? Would I be on the side of right, essentially? He's reflecting on his morality, and he's playing the what-if game as he looks back in time. Like, would he just sit on the sidelines for these things, or would he be a part of it? And then would he be self-serving? That for me is key with the Titanic, because the other ones you can understand. But the Titanic, for me, that has another layer to it in terms of his psychological reflections. Because would I be selfish in this case? Would I just think about my own survival? Or would I think about giving for something greater? It's all that theme of giving for a greater cause, whether it's the cause for country, whether it's a cause for black civil justice and freedom, whether it's a cause for just, standing up, helping women and children with the Titanic when it was sinking. Women and children first, and then a lot of the men died.
And it was sinking, who am I saving? Am I fighting women and children, or am I waiting? I wonder.
Am I fighting women and children? I just love how it's like, He's got moments when he's a little fast, he's a little peppered with the syllabants and the rhyme schemes, and then he kind of slows it down and he lets it breathe out again. It's a very sort of methodical flow, but it's just got these faster peppered syllables throughout it as well. These little just like slight gear shifts forward.
What would I do in the next generation? Battle of Kabbalah. If they captured me for the sake of my father, would I stand on my honor like Hussein did and then tell them to make me a martyr? Would I...
Hussein Ali, right? Shias and Sunnis. And you talk about history within Islam. That was a key one because it was like, you know the story of 300 versus an overwhelming force? Well, this is like the Muslim equivalent for me. And he was the grandson of Muhammad. Sorry, I'm trying to tap into this side of studies now. He was the grandson of Muhammad, and he had 70 men, right? And he refused to accept the new king. So because of that, when he was surrounded and he was given an option, you can kneel down, you can bow down, he chose to fight, and he chose to die instead because he chose to stand for what he believed in, and he didn't think that the succession was meant to go that way. And it's a key moment. There's even a holiday for it, right? There's 10 days that are spent celebrating this, and it's a key moment within Islamic history. So I love how Dave's just tapping into everything because he talks about King David. You talk about more of the Christianity, Judaism, those references. He's tying in all sides right now, just showing you the full spectrum of historical points.
For the sake of my father, would I stand on my honor like Hussein did and then tell them to make me a martyr?
And he became a martyr, and he became celebrated, right? Who for my father? And you look at his lineage tying into Muhammad, and this is what David is doing too.
Me for the sake of my father, would I stand on my honor like Hussein did and then tell them to make me a martyr? Would I get smarter, forgive my oppressor, stick to the creed? If I got locked inside like Nelson Mandela but never was freed, I see a white man dance to...
Because there was the police agent who caught Mandela, and then Mandela, after he was freed, right? Because Mandela fighting against apartheid in South Africa, fighting for black freedom there, and he was freed eventually, but became president of South Africa. But after he became president, guess who his bodyguard was? He ended up forgiving the man who caught him and helped put him behind bars. And that was a big statement that Mandela made, him just willing to cross lines, to embrace forgiveness so that South Africa, because it was a huge gesture to move forward between blacks and whites and move past the division. Right? He could have come to power and continued to divide and then flip the script and focus solely on the black condition within South Africa. And that was just a key thing, that just willing to forgive the oppressor. Dave really embracing just some deeper morality issues. And how far will you go with empathy? How far will you go with forgiveness? How far will you go with your consideration of the world?
Creed. If I got locked inside like Nelson Mandela but never was freed, I see a white man dance to rumba. Ain't studied Patrice Lumumba, but get on the stage and sing like Sungba, like Jaja Jaja Sungba.
Sungba. It's a Saki, right? That's a Nigerian artist. You talk about Afro beats, man. You talk about those vibes. But for me, a white man talking about these things, right? In terms of cultural acceptance, cultural appropriation, but for me, accepting history as well. Because what is it that we pick and choose? This is what Dave's saying. So someone like me sat here like nodding my head to the music. We're happy to pick the music. We're happy to pick these things that sound good, that feel good. But what about the true history? What about the true roots? What about the true struggle, right? Because you look at someone like Patrice Lumumba, and someone who doesn't get talked about as often in world history. Here was a leader of the Democratic Republic of Congo, right? Because you have Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, right? Patrice Lumumba, he was actually assassinated by Belgium and by the CIA. Why? Here's why, essentially. When he became elected president, democratically elected, mind you, he wanted to give the resources and reinvest back in his country. Logical, right? Someone just trying to look out for his people. The problem was that when he started to feel threatened, he involved the Soviet Union and wanted the Soviet Union to help protect the borders, to help protect them, to help deal with things. And he was mistrustful of the United States. He was mistrustful of Europe and the way that Europe, all the colonialism, the way that Africa was divided. We've talked about the Treaty of Westphalia on this channel. We talk about how important that is when basically European leaders just sat there, looked at Africa like a piece of pie, went, okay, you get some of this, you get some of this. Oh, we're dividing people. We're not drawing these lines. We're just going to create tribal conflict. We're going to create issues that they'll never overcome. Oh, and then we're going to set a precedent. We're going to promote, divide and conquer policies. We're going to promote corruption within these governments, and then we're going to hand over the keys to it later on. And how do you think they're going to be? How do you think they're going to do? But anyways, I'm really going all on, but this is what Dave makes you do. But for me, right, it was during the Cold War. And all because Patrice decided to seek Soviet help and not play the games of the U.S. What happened? CIA had him assassinated, right? And it was all justified because obviously we've all been indoctrinated. The war on communism, the war against all of that, everything was done for the greater good. But do the ends justify the means? Do the means justify the ends? In this case, I love how Dave is pointing out a key historical figure in African history, swept under the rug in the West, not really talked about, an inconvenient truth. But again, it's those inconvenient truths. We choose to ignore these key moments. We choose to ignore these talking points. But hey, when it helps us culturally, when we can sit here, we can dance to it, we can feel good about it, we can pick and choose, even within hip-hop, even within music in so many levels and layers, that's okay. You see the greater point that he's making? What a message, man.
Got locked inside like Nelson Mandela, but never was freed. I see a white man dance to rumba. Ain't studied Patrice Lumumba, but get on the stage and sing like Sumba, like Jaja Sumba. Fuck it. I wonder, what would I do in the next generation? Would I fight for justice? Is it the reason my mum named me David? How can you be king? How can you be king? Don't speak for the people. Them man try draw me out and compare like me and these niggas are equal. I'm a black man and this bows.
That's key to me, because you think about King David in the Bible. King David was anointed by God, but ultimately brought together the 12 tribes of Israel, conquered Jerusalem. He brought together his people. This is Dave now reflecting, am I meant to bring together my people? Am I meant to unite? Am I meant to lead? But how can I be king?
Them man try draw me out and compare like me and...
You know what I just realized? The title of the track is The Boy Who Played the Harp. This album is The Boy Who Played the Harp. King David was brought into the court of King Saul. King David was known for being a musician. King David used to play the harp for Saul when Saul was overcome by his demons. David, the boy who played the harp, his parallels to that and David in the Bible, nah, that's not coincidence.
King, how can you be king? Don't speak for the people. Them man try draw me out and compare like me and these niggas are equal. I'm a black man and this bozo saying my music's socially conscious, while the man them trolling responses. This world's gone totally bonkers. I sometimes wonder, what would I do in the next generation? But I'm knowing the answer, cause what am I doing in this generation? Afraid to speak, I don't wanna risk in my occupation.
I like that line, because for me, this is something I deal with as well. This is something, this is a label, the backpack rapper, right? The socially conscious rapper. We just want to dance. We just want to enjoy music. We don't want to have to think about music. And oftentimes it gets mislabeled, right? And it gets painted with this broad brush. And this is what Dave is pointing out here. Y'all are just painting me with this broad brush. Oh, he's just a socially conscious rapper. No. What does it mean to be socially conscious? I'm speaking on obvious things. I'm speaking on things that shouldn't be considered socially conscious. They should just be accepted in our society. Equality for all. Not sweeping under the rug history. Not all of this corruption. Not all these things. Y'all say I'm socially conscious. I'm just talking about real shit. Why has it got to be placed under that? Oh, he's just on his moral high horse. He's on his moral high ground. That's what you have to do when you listen to Dave. I love that. That's shots fired. That's breaking the fourth wall. That's shots fired from a meta perspective right there on his labels and on all of that. Man, Dave is speaking on some shit here.
Cause what am I doing in this generation? Afraid to speak.
I'm just giving you guys a heads up too. I'm a little worried because I'm outside. I see rain clouds coming. We might have to cut in a little.
Don't want to risk in my occupation. We got kids under occupation. Our parents, they wouldn't get that. The people that die for our freedoms.
Sorry guys, the rain did come and I had to rush everything in. I've been waiting for it to clear. Looks like I got a window, finally. Let's finish this breakdown.
How can you be king? Don't speak for the people. Them man try draw me out and compare like me and these niggas are equal. I'm a black man and this bozo saying my music's socially conscious, while the man them trolling responses. I'm a speak for the people. Them man try draw me out and compare like me and these niggas are equal. I'm a black man and this bozo saying my music's socially conscious, while the man them trolling responses. This world's gone totally bonkers.
You know how we talked about Africa? Divide and conquer? To me, here we go once more. A different form of divide and conquer.
I sometimes wonder, what would I do in the next generation? But I'm knowing the answer, cause what am I doing in this generation? Afraid to speak, I don't wanna risk in my occupation. We got kids under occupation. Our parents, they wouldn't get that. The people that died for our freedom spoke on justice, couldn't accept that. I talk about the money in all my accounts, so why don't I speak on the West Bank? Remember, growing up prejudiced, the damage 7/7 did. Extremists and terrorists. I was afraid of the Taliban. Can't speak out on illegal settlers, now I'm afraid of a shadow ban. What would I do in the next generation? Critiquing African leaders.
That is set up by the occupation lines. We got kids under occupation. And at first I'm sat listening, I'm like, occupation, all right, we talking about like social media occupation, right? We're talking about control of their minds and just the way that the world is today and how polarized it is, but also all the disinformation, that occupation. But for me, he takes the occupation a step further to what he really means by this. And he's got just a dope West Bank flip in Palestine. Because obviously, everybody's talking about Gaza. It's all about Gaza and what's going on in Gaza. But what is not getting spun currently in the media? What's not as focused on? Another Palestinian issue, the West Bank. What is Dave suggesting here? The occupation of the West Bank. History is often written by the winners, depending on who's in power, who's controlling the narrative, right? You could take a group and they could be freedom fighters. Or, depending on who's writing that narrative, you turn around and they are terrorists. And what's Dave doing here? He's got a really interesting flip, speaking on just like how media information is pushed to us and how narratives are bent. On one hand, you have the Taliban, and Dave remembers the awful atrocities of 7/7 and the bombings in London, right? And how horrific that was. But on one hand, you have this occupation, the occupation of Afghanistan, right? And the way that that was spun and the way that that was looked at. And then think about the occupation of the West Bank. Israel occupying Palestine in the West Bank. A different form of occupation, but it's spun very differently because of who's writing it and who the narrative is. And Dave, weirdly enough, saying, I don't speak on these things because I'm afraid of losing my job and my occupation. I'm afraid of getting shadow banned. But what's he doing? He's admitting that. And to me, that shows his authenticity. Just like really not having a filter, not trying to spin it in a way or try to make himself look better. Just go, no, honestly, this is why I wasn't speaking on it. But what's he doing cleverly, though? By saying why he's not speaking on it, he's now speaking on it. He's now bringing light to it. He's now putting it under the microscope.
I was afraid of the Taliban.
And again, just like the West Bank versus flipping it into the bank and what he's making, that was just a bar and a half, a political bar and a half. Immortal Technique would be proud of a bar like that.
Speak out on illegal settlers, now I'm afraid of a shadow ban. What would I do in the next generation?
Because some people listen to go, illegal settlers, what's he talking about? Is he afraid to speak out on immigration in the UK? No. It's the West Bank, illegal settlers. That's what he's saying.
Illegal settlers, now I'm afraid of a shadow ban. What would I do in the next generation? Critiquing African leaders for selling our country's natural resources to the West for peanuts. If they don't hear, they'll feel us. I question what I'm alive for. And can you say you're alive if you ain't got something you're willing to die for?
Break this down. One of the richest continents in the world in terms of natural resources. So much of the world's resources that get used. Where is it? Africa. How much of those natural resources and those precious minerals are actually controlled by the African countries in which they exist? See, here's the thing again. When he was talking about Patrice, and we were getting into that, there was also a theme as well of leaders taking back hands from the West, basically selling out their resources so that they could get rich. And that's who we tended to prop up in the West in power. That's who we tended to support. Those who were agreeable to us, agreeable to our capitalist system, who wanted to support us. Not necessarily what was best for Africa, what was best for each nation at the time. It was best for Western interests and best for Western business. Think about the amount of mineral companies, of corporations that are in Africa. How many of them are truly African? Dave talking, man.
I question what I'm alive for. And can you say you're alive if you ain't got something you're willing to die for? What am I willing to die for? What am I doing in this generation? I get in my head.
That's a bar and a half, man.
To die for. What am I alive for? And can you say you're alive if you ain't got something you're willing to die for?
Can you say you're alive if you ain't got something you're willing to die for? Because what is life at the end of the day? If you're not fighting for something, what is the meaning of it all and what's the purpose? Because we're all going to the same place in the end.
What am I willing to die for?
And you can't take any of this that you see with you. You can't take this. You can't take any of the likes, the money, the fame, the attention. None of it. None of it matters in the end. But what are the principles that you stand for while you're here, while you're 10 toes down?
And can you say you're alive if you ain't got something you're willing to die for? What am I willing to die for? What am I doing in this generation? I get in my head sometimes. I feel like I'm in despair. That feeling of total powerlessness. I get that sinking feeling that good ain't defeating evil.
Man.
I put that pain on vinyl, but feel like that shit ain't moving a needle. Retweeting people, raising awareness. In all fairness,
Put that on vinyl, the needle on vinyl. But you know the saying, the idiom, like moving the needle. I feel like evil constantly wins. No matter what I speak out on, even when I put it into my art, am I truly enacting change? Am I making change in the world and moving that needle? That was another just bar and a half, man. Like for me, it's these hard cutting truths, these political bars, these wisdom bars that he's giving you, that he's flipping into double entendres. I'm a huge fan of that.
moving a needle, retweeting people, raising awareness. In all fairness, ain't gonna bring Chris back to his parents, but there's no other option. It's a process, gotta stand and protest. Cause they want man silenced, cause they want man dead, or they want man hopeless. In the next generation, I spoke with my ancestors in the night and I showed them. They spoke with tears.
Which Chris was he talking about? He's talking about his bro Chris, who's locked up, ain't gonna bring him back to his parents, all the retweeting and everything that we're marching and standing for. What other Chris's? There's the Chris Kaba, because he was shot and killed. And there were protests over that. And Stormzy spoke up on that one. It might be that. I'm not sure which Chris.
It's a process, gotta stand and protest. Cause they want man silenced, cause they want man.
Because he's got the protest lines. And he's got all these setups and not coming back to his parents because he's literally dead. Right?
In all fairness.
And that's a pretty divided one for people. Because some people look at his criminal history. They look at what he was involved in. And they go, well, is it a surprise he was leading a lifestyle like this? He was put in this situation and that happened. Whereas on the other side of the fence, they look and they go, well, what did the police officer know at the time? Right? Did the police officer racially profile him? And that's why he used lethal force when there could have been other options and other ways to deal with the situation.
Ain't gonna bring Chris back to his
I feel like Dave's speaking out on the Chris Kaba. It's gotta be that one.
parents, but there's no other option. It's a process, gotta stand and protest. Cause they want man silenced, cause they want man dead, or they want man hopeless.
Yeah.
In the next generation, I spoke with my ancestors in the night and I showed them.
In my next generation, I spoke on my ancestors in the night and I showed them. Like right there. Da, 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 da. Like, you know what I'm talking about again? How it's marinated with this piano. With this just melody, this vocal cut underneath. But he has these moments, even though I feel like he's drip feeding us, where he just like speeds through this flow. It's such a controlled, again, just that peppered staccato flow, man. It's very, very dope. Just the speed approach that he's taking with this.
Man dead, or they want man hopeless. In the next generation, I spoke with my ancestors in the night and I showed them.
That's a
they
flow.
spoke with tears in their eyes for the brothers they lost and said it was progress. How can it be progress? I asked them, confused, disgusted. They said, David, just so you could fight this, you know how much suffering touched us. And you got a chance. We come from a time and a place where you couldn't get justice. Had to find peace in the fact that we all answer to the one that we trust in. And in our generation, we did do peaceful protests just like you. Burnt buildings just like you. Did boycotts just like you. Sat in a hostel, powerless, did feel powerless just like you. And I know that it may sound strange, but we made some change and we're just like you. I know that you question your character. I know that you suffer in silence. I know that it don't feel right when you go to the club in Victoria Island. Cause how can you dance in a club there's 100 people begging outside it? I know the sins of your father. I know that you're desperate to fight them. So step in your purpose. Speak for your people, share your secrets. Expose.
I love this. I love how he's now taking his own individual situation. Now he's transcending, right? And now he's connecting generations. Because how did he start this song? Reflecting on these different historical moments and what if I was there? And now he's taking the approach of he's actually speaking with those who were there, right? And he's relating it to his frustrations that he personally deals with. Because there's the internal and what he goes through in his fights, and then there's the external in the world that he's fighting to change as well. It feels like there's that transformational change within, and then there's that external transformational change that he's trying to achieve. But he feels like he's not getting closer at all. But what are they speaking to him on? You know, we had similar struggles. We went through these same situations that you went through. And change is not immediate. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a process. But that doesn't mean that the struggle and the fight isn't worth it. Man.
You're desperate to fight them. So step in your purpose. Speak for your people. Share your secrets. Expose your emotions. You might.
Again, speak for your people. Share your secrets. Remember he talked about being King David before? David speaking for the Israelites, speaking for his tribe. I think there's those connections again throughout all this as well. This is so layered and well written.
So step in your purpose, speak for your people, share your secrets, expose your emotions. You might not see, but there's people that need it, never demand it. And if God can grant it, manifest it and receive it. Your name is David, and that covenant's sacred. You got a promise, so keep it, deep it. That man talking the thing, but I bleed it. Man wanna speak on the scene, but I've seen it. Tried in the fire, but I get some anointed. Can't no part.
Man want to talk on the thing, but I bleed this, right? Talk on the scene, SCENE versus I've seen, SEEN. That was a dope word flip right there as well. But again, I'm walking the walk. And for me, this is true art right here. This is no filters. And the best art that is truly timeless is just spoken straight from the soul. And I feel like Dave is just pouring his soul out right here. And you feel that authenticity. You feel that vulnerability. You feel the emotions in this, man. Every single bar in line.
Name is David, and that covenant's sacred. You got a promise, so keep it, deep it. That man talking the thing, but I bleed it. Man wanna speak on the scene, but I've seen it. Tried in the fire, but I get some anointed. Can't no pass me the torch, I received it. God told me I'm the one, I believed it.
Trial of the Fire, that's a song that he had with Getz. Come on.
Tried in the fire, but
Getz is another super dope UK MC.
Get some anointed. Can't no pass me the torch, I received it.
Shout out
God
Kano.
told me I'm the one, I believed it.
Hey, Top Boy. What up, Top Boy? Come on, man. What a series that was. But also, Kano's a dope artist as well, right? Dave and Kano in Top Boy. Come on.
In the fire, but
Come on. There's layers.
Some anointed. Can't no pass me the torch, I received it. God told me I'm the one, I believed it. Shout Hollow Man, cause he helped me achieve it. I'm the youngest of my brothers. Father, he
Hollow Man, shout out Gigs.
told me I'm the one, I believed it. Shout Hollow Man, cause he helped me achieve it.
All these people that he's worked with, right? Now he's showing love. What's he doing? Yet again, I have this platform now, but I'm also going to pay homage. I'm going to show love to those who helped me get here so I can speak on these things.
I'm the youngest of my brothers. Father, he's the burden on our mothers. Give these niggas money, see their colors. Don't mix me with them, I'm not the one. Grind and miss the summer when it comes. I'm Abraham, I sacrificed the son. Where I'm from, they sacrifice the son. Hold up, I ain't finished, I ain't done. My ancestors.
Man, I fucking love this job.
I'm talking the thing, but I bleed it. Man wanna speak on the scene, but I've seen it. Tried in the fire, but I get some anointed. Can't no pass me the torch, I received it. God told me I'm the one, I believed it. Shout Hollow Man, cause he helped me.
God told me I'm the one. Again, you know how I talked about the parallels of this to David? God telling David he's the one, anointing David king. This is how Dave feels right now.
Achieve it. I'm the youngest of my brothers. Father, he's the burden on our mothers. Give these niggas money, see their colors. Don't
give them money, see their colors. Watch how money changes people.
I'm the youngest of my brothers. Father, he's the burden on our mothers. Give these niggas money, see their colors. Don't mix me with them, I'm not the one. Grind and miss the summer when it comes. I'm Abraham, I sacrificed the son.
Abraham sacrificed his only son, Isaac, because God told him to. And just as he was about to make the sacrifice, God stayed his hand, right? And rewarded Abraham. So Dave sacrificed the son like Abraham within the Bible and that story in the Bible. But also he grinded all summer working on this album. He wasn't going out. And in the UK especially, listen, it's cloudy here. That sun is vital. You get some of that sunshine, everybody is out for like the 1 month that the sun does come out, right? You got to take advantage of that. Dave had a greater purpose and a greater mission, so he sacrificed the S-U-N versus S-O-N son.
Don't mix me with them, I'm not the one. Grind and miss the summer when it comes. I'm Abraham, I sacrificed the son. Where I'm from, they sacrifice the son. Hold up, I ain't finished, I ain't done. My ancestors told me that my life is prophecy. And it's not just me, it's a whole generation of people gradually making change. They ain't a greater task, shift that, make a name, make a start.
Whole generation of people making change. I love this. I love the generational transcendent connections that he's making through history. Like this is true power right here. This is true spirit. You just feel it, man.
People gradually making change. They ain't a greater task, shift that, make a name, make a start. They'll know what they're facing when they ask. With the will of David in my heart, the story of the boy who played the harp.
Ooh, with the will of David in my heart. Story of the boy who played the harp. Right there, that little just cascade flow, man. I love that. Dave had some very smooth flows of this.
A task, shift that, make a name.
And the will of David, the boy who played the harp. It all comes around. I talked about that earlier. King David, before he became king, playing the harp for Saul, who became jealous of him. And David had to go into exile. And I feel like this day feels like he's going through his own exile. He's going through his own trials and tribulations as he tries to bring together his people and unite generations and overcome and feeling like he's on his own divine mission and connecting it all. I tell you what, man, this is what hip hop is about for me right here. Really using your platform and making that shit just reverberate. And that's something that you just feel deep down. but it's so well crafted from Dave. It's so well written. The parallels throughout and the connections and the layers. I can see why you guys wanted me to do this, why I'm stood outside right now, making this happen, making this work in the middle of nowhere. Dave, you were Knox certified. Hope you guys liked today's video. Listen, if you're here at the end, obviously doing the content, what are you doing? Support the channel directly. Subscribe with notifications on. It all helps. It really does go a long way. Also, you like the hat that I'm wearing. You like the shirt that I'm wearing. KnoxHillMusic.com. Go copy merch. Go rep the brand. Hilltop Mafia. It all helps. It all goes a long way. All right, you beautiful people. Stay safe. Stay positive. Take care of this. Take care of this. You know, I'll catch you again.